We can get rid of all the crime in America overnight, just like that. And people ask how, Attorney Crump, change the definition of crime. Of course. If you get to define what conduct is going to be made criminal, you can predict who the criminal is going to be.
It sounds like we're criminal, though.
Yeah.
Our existence
no,
is
the culture.
criminal.
But they made the laws. They make the law to criminalize our culture,
to fit us.
black culture. I mean, and so when I think of Eric Garner, I always think of stuff like that.
I mean, technically he is correct. You can do the same thing with racism. If you change the definition of race, then all of a sudden there's no more racism. To be fair, like, the Democrats have struggled to reduce racism, and they have reduced it substantially by changing the definition of what racism is and coming to the conclusion that it's privilege plus power. And they also concluded that white people hold all the power, and therefore, if you're non-white, you can't be racist. So if you look at the statistics by this definition, racism is like plummeting in the United States. The Democrats have fixed it. You can also say that misinformation is a matter of national security. And say, for instance, you need to, like, preserve democracy, right? Because, like, preserving democracy is now national security. So if someone sits on their toilet and doubts the sanctity of the holy 2020 election, well, he is doing misinformation, so now it's a national threat, similar to him hacking the electricity grid or something, right? You can play around with definitions as much as you want. I mean, to the point where the most popular documentary of last year was called What is a Woman? I know the media is embarrassed talking about that because they're still trying to figure out the lost knowledge of mankind. But, like, this is what you get when you play with definitions. However, the reality is that the people on the ground, living in the neighborhoods, regardless if you call it crime or you call it something else, they don't really like it when people are pillaging the stores. Okay? Like, when you go into a store and shoplift, and it's like one person that does it, okay. But when it's multiple people that do it in the same day, to the point that CNN, who went to make a video about this, actually managed to catch a shoplifter live. I mean, imagine how lucky they must have been. It's like winning the lottery, right? Like, what are the odds of that? Then the stores decide that, okay, we're going to stop doing business here. And then the Democrats, they will call them all racist. How dare you lock the store? Why don't you want to make money? Are you racist? They're locking the stores because they're going out of business, right? Like, it's not profitable for them to keep the store open. And guess who suffers? It's the people in those neighborhoods. It's the people in those neighborhoods who are now into food deserts. Like, they had to invent a new name. We don't have that shit in Romania. We don't have this thing called food desert. What the fuck is that? But they do have it in the United States, right? Because you have, like, stores that are shutting down from specific neighborhoods. And the people that live there also have an issue because where are they going to get jobs? Where are they going to get work? And don't give me this bullshit of like the moral thief, you know, like a thief that is oozing morality. He only steals from the... He would never mug someone, right? Like he is willing to break the law. He is a hardened criminal that is willing to go into a store and commit a crime. But, like, that's where he draws the line. Like, everything else, no, he's like a bleeding heart liberal. He has, like, so much compassion and empathy for himself and others. And, of course, he does it because society has pushed him into that line, you know? You look at the United States, and even the poorest people in the United States have access to more amenities and a better way of life than people from other countries. In fact, I would say from most places around the world. Like even if you're a poor American in a ghetto living on welfare, I'm not shitting you. I know it sounds weird. I know it sounds bizarre, but like you have access to more amenities than people from a lot of other countries in the world. Now you say, well, so what? Well, those people are committing crimes in their country. Like their crime is way lower than places like Chicago or San Francisco. So don't give me this bullshit, because by this logic, if society has failed the poor Americans, well, imagine what those other poor countries think should be like. I mean, hell, Moldavia, right? It's a country next to Romania. I mean, that one is poorer than Chicago, and it's like the people in Moldavia are a lot poorer than even some of the Americans that live in the ghetto. And yet the crime rate isn't even remotely similar. So no, like fixing crime is possible, obviously. I mean, Japan does it. Even Moldavia has its handle on crime. I mean, there is crime in Moldavia, but not to the levels of Chicago, right? So it is possible, but definitely not what they are suggesting. Like to see these millionaires, right? Like in America, they have managed to associate. It's like if you're a black person, you're either impoverished or you're not well off. When I look at these people, I see Americans that are incredibly well off. I mean, they're more well off than my entire family put together, and they seem to be mocking the plight of the people that actually live in these crime-infested areas. And what they are saying is basically, we don't really care about it. You know, just deal with it. Like we're not even going to address that it's a problem. We're not going to even say that it's an issue. The only reason it's an issue is because the government criminalizes it, right? So if only the government would change the definition and just let people, you know, do what they want, we would create an utopia. Like, why do we even need laws? By the way, this is what happens when you say defund the police. Like, no one actually takes this to the logical conclusion. Like, okay, so you don't have cops. All right, you don't have cops. Well, are criminals going to turn themselves in? No, so you don't need judges, right? Because, like, if you don't have cops, no one goes to court. If no one goes to court, what's the point of a judge? And if you don't have judges, what's the point of a lawmaker? Like, why make laws if they're not going to be applied? and why apply laws if they're not going to be enforced? So what ends up happening is that you're basically destroying the nation state. Like, it's anarchy. Like there's no more point in following laws. There's no more point in, right? Because there's no cops. Either that or you have tribalism. I guess, like, the people in that neighborhood enforce the laws by themselves. And I guess that would be a way to live. I don't know. But it's definitely going to create a very hostile way of living. It's not going to be very prosperous. Because, again, the main issue is that people are unable to have businesses open. Like, it has gotten so bad. And it's not because of the people in the areas, but when you're a Democrat and you pass a legislation like people who shoplift less than $900 are guilty of a misdemeanor. Like, it's not a serious crime anymore. It's like a slap on the wrist. And police officers can't even chase you down. Store owners can't have security guards in order to try to stop you. So you end up with these stores closing. It's like, okay, well, fuck this state, right? And you end up with these food deserts and everything else that I talked about. But yeah, I mean, to me, seeing, you know, a celebrity black activist lawyer, I think his name is Ben Cramplaw, partaking into this very interesting thing. Like, the question is how much they paid him, or is he really that disconnected from the situation on the ground? So like what is the message here, though? Like, what is the message? It's like crime should be normal because it's part of culture. Like what exactly is he trying to say? It's fascinating. You know, like, this happened in Italy. Like, you're just going to create more gangs because there is a demand in the market, and demand is for security. Like this existed in medieval time. You know, the merchant wants to do his business without getting robbed. So eventually, like, the merchant would hire some mercenaries or whatever. But if you're not going to let them do that either, then in Italy, they had Casa Nostra. They basically created the mafia in order to defend people. I don't think America is capable nowadays in creating the mafia, but they will have gangs. I mean, those are something that exists, right? So you're basically empowering them to ask. I mean, that's even the concept of protection money, right? Protection from whom? Well, it's not just the gang itself, but it's other criminals. Yeah, really interesting MSNBC. Really interesting. You should call them MSLSD, like, if they're publishing stuff like this. It's just... Let me know what you guys think, though, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.